confirm him, Truman had to withdraw the nomination. After an appropriate period of time, Truman then appointed Walgren to the Federal Power Commission. He was promptly confirmed because of his background as governor of Washington and Washington's role in the Great Pacific Northwest hydroelectric grid. He was confirmed to that position. He served several terms. He became the chair of the commission, and he retired from the Federal Power Commission in 1951 and retired back to Washington, where he maintained a home both in Olympia and in his hometown in Everett. And it was on July 8th, 1961, while traveling between his two homes from Olympia going north up to Everett, he was driving across the old Highway 99 Nisqually Bridge, the same bridge that brought Harry Truman to Olympia on that June 19th, 1945. Monrad Walgren came across a young nurse in a disabled vehicle. He got out of his car and was directing traffic around the nurse's car when he was struck by a drunk driver. He lingered for 13 weeks and died on September 18th, 1961, and he is buried in the Everett Cemetery. So on that sad note, I will conclude my remarks. I hope I provided some education as well as some entertainment. And the theme of this is that our local historical threads, as you all know who've attended these lectures in the past, it's amazing what things are connected to it and we have here in Olympia and Tumwater. Thank you all for your attention. Thank you for coming out today.
Are we ready to begin?
Recording in progress.
Welcome everyone to the Tuesday, October 7th, 2025 council meeting. We will start off with roll call.
Councilmember Liada Dalhoff.
Present.
Councilmember Angela Jefferson.
Present.
Councilmember Joan Cathy.
Present.
Councilmember Eileen Swarthout.
Present.
Councilmember Michael Althauser.
Present.
Councilmember Peter Agabi.
Present.
Councilmember Kelly Von Holtz.
Present.
Mayor Debbie Sullivan.
I'm present. Join me for our salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, this evening we actually have 3 proclamations, and so we will start off with the very first one, which is Walk to School Month, and we will have Councilmember Angela Jefferson go ahead and read that.
Whereas making bicycle, pedestrian, and active transportation safety improvements a priority can help protect the life and safety of Tumwater's youth. And whereas the City of Tumwater is working to add bike lanes, trails, sidewalks, and improve street crossings to better connect our neighborhoods and provide safer routes to schools. And whereas increasing physical activity improves the health of our youth. And whereas regular enrolling to school can be fun and increase students' readiness to learn. And whereas driving students to school contributes to traffic congestion, and whereas an important role for parents and caregivers is to teach children how to safely walk, bike, and roll our streets. In October, community leaders, parents, and children from around the world will join together for Walk to School events to increase awareness about the environmental benefits of walking and biking to school. So therefore, Debbie Sullivan, Mayor of the City of Tumwater, do hereby proclaim October 2025 Walk to School Month and calls upon the people of the City of Tumwater to promote the safety and health of children this month and throughout the year by supporting pedestrians, bicycle, and active transportation improvements, modeling safe pedestrian and bicycle behaviors, and helping make our roads safer for those walking and biking by participating in safe driving practices and following the speed limit. She invites parents, school leaders to make a lasting impression on our community's youth by joining Tumwater students in walking to school. Signed in the city of Tumwater, Washington on this 7th day of October in 2025. Mayor Debbie Sullivan.
Great, thank you. And those two, there's 2 individuals. Proclamation, we will have Megan Dawson, who's an Assistant Superintendent for the Tumwater School District, and Carrie Wilson from the Walk and Roll Program, Intercity Transit. If you want to say a few words, please come to the podium.
Good evening. So my name is Carrie Wilson, and I supervise Intercity Transit's Walk and Roll education program. Walk and Roll increases independence, improves safety, and inspires a healthy lifestyle by making walking, biking, rolling, and riding public transit more accessible to people in our community. We bring a variety of programs to the residents of Tumwater, including our mobile traffic garden that visits Tumwater schools and summer camps. A traffic garden, if you're unfamiliar, is a miniature streetscape where youth can safely practice bicycle and pedestrian safety skills away from cars. We partner with Tumwater Parks and Rec to offer Learn to Ride classes at Tumwater Historic Park, where we have taught many youth how to ride a bicycle for the first time. We take Tumwater students on rolling classroom field trips where they learn about the importance of public transportation. And this school year, we are planning to bring our Teens Destinations program to some Tumwater schools. Through hands-on activities and group rides on neighborhood streets, teens will learn basic bicycle safety and handling skills and some maintenance as well. And to better equip the participants, those who complete the program will receive a brand new bicycle, helmet, lock, and set of lights. It's pretty amazing, actually. Walk to School Month serves as a reminder for us all about the importance of safe, healthy, and environmentally friendly ways to get our children to school. To Tumwater families, we encourage you to try walking to school this month. Walking to school helps improve safety and reduce traffic around our schools, and it also helps students show up ready to learn and build some physical activity into their day. And to Tumwater drivers, we use this opportunity to remind you to slow down and remain vigilant in school zones and residential areas, and to stop for pedestrians at crosswalks, and to always be cautious around children since they're still learning how to be safe pedestrians and bicyclists. I'd like to thank the City of Tumwater for continuing to make Tumwater a more bicycle and pedestrian-friendly city, and for recognizing October 2025 as Walk to School Month.
I just wanted to thank everybody. I'm Megan Dawson, Assistant Superintendent in Tumwater Public Schools, and your commitment to improving sidewalks, trails, traffic lights, like you said, it is a community effort, and it also takes the part of parents and students learning more about safe routes. And our schools, we always try to have places where students park their bikes, put their skateboards, maybe they're taking off their rollerblades, I don't know. But creating lots of different pathways for, like you mentioned, it's good for physical health and mental health, so thank you.
So we can get another, each of you, so I will go ahead and present the proclamation. And also, you both get a pen. So we can go ahead and take a picture. All right, we'll make sure you get another copy. Let's see, the next proclamation is week, and that will be read by Councilmember Dahlhoff. Hold on one second. There you go.
Thank you, Mayor. Tumwater is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our city. And whereas fire remains a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and the presence of lithium-ion batteries in many household devices introduces unique fire risks. And whereas most of the electronics used in homes daily track if you have any of these in your home, including smartphones, tablets, laptops, power tools, e-bikes, e-scooters, and toys, are powered by lithium-ion batteries, which if misused, damaged, or improperly charged, can overheat, start a fire, or explode. And whereas the National Fire Protection Agency, NFPA, reports an increase in battery-related fires, underscoring the need for public education on the safe use of lithium-ion batteries. And whereas residents should follow 3 key calls to action: buy only listed products, charge batteries safely, and recycle them responsibly to prevent battery-related fires. And whereas lithium-ion batteries store a large amount of energy in a small space, and improper use such as overcharging, using without safety certification, or exposing batteries to damage can result in fire or explosion. And whereas the proper disposal and recycling of lithium-ion batteries prevent environmental hazards and reduce fire risks in the home and community. And whereas the 2025 Fire Prevention Week theme, Charge into Fire Safely, Lithium Batteries in Your Home, serves to focus on lithium-ion batteries to better educate the public about how to buy, charge, and dispose of them safely. Now, therefore, Debbie Sullivan, the mayor of the city of Tumwater, does hereby proclaim the week of October 5th to October 11th, 2025, Fire Prevention Week, and she urges all residents and businesses in the city of Tumwater to heed these messages and to support the efforts of the Tumwater Fire Department and other emergency services to keep us safe from fires and in times of medical emergencies.
Great, thank you. We have Fire Chief Hurley, who will be accepting the proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. I'll just keep it brief. Is Charge into Fire Safety for this Fire Safety Week. And we're excited in Fire Safety Week in October in general. This is when we get out to many schools, make contact with a lot of people in the community. We're very excited about that. Just a reminder, buy only listed products, UL labeled products, charge safely. Don't use those cheap charging cords. You know, you should use the quality cords, hopefully from the manufacturer. don't overcharge the devices, and particularly for larger items like e-bikes, scooters, things, they should be charged outside and away from doors and windows. Those are the items that are the most risk. So, and then recycle them responsibly. And we've got a great resource here in the county with Thurston County's resources and the Hazo House and other businesses. So, yeah, that's what we have today. Thank you. Yep.
You get a pen?
And I get
Also,
Okay, let's clap again. Chief, can I ask you one question while you're there? And the mayor hasn't muted my microphone.
Okay. Yeah.
What do you mean by like not overcharging? Like when it's charged, it's charged, right? So what does that mean?
Yeah, unplug it once it's fully charged. That's the recommendation.
I don't do that,
Yeah.
so thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay.
all right, we have another proclamation this evening, and it is National Hispanic Heritage Month, which started on September 15th, and it goes to October 15th. So we're kind of catching you right in the middle of the month. So, and I believe that Councilmember Von Holtz is reading that, so go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Whereas each year, Americans observe National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th by celebrating the histories, cultures, and contributions of those ancestors who came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, America. And whereas the observance began in 1968 when Congress passed Public Law 90-498, authorizing and requesting the President to issue an annual proclamation of National Hispanic Heritage during mid-September. And whereas Hispanic Americans have made exceptional contributions throughout our history in areas including science, medicine, business, law, sports, education, government, and military. Our culture has been enriched by the art, food, music, literature, and creativity of Hispanic people. And whereas National Hispanic Heritage Month is a time to honor the many ways Hispanics, Latinos, and Latinx contribute to Tumwater, celebrate diverse cultures, and work toward a stronger, more diverse community for all. And whereas understanding the lived experiences of Hispanics in Tumwater is critical to the creation of city services, development, infrastructure, programs, and investments with mutual benefits for all who reside in our community. Therefore, Debbie Sullivan, Mayor of the City of does hereby proclaim National Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15th through October 15th, 2025, and urges people to join her in learning and events that celebrate the rich Hispanic cultural traditions.
Great, thank you. We have some members of the roundtable accepting, Bill Fishburne, who is president, and Kathy Barrows-Fried. I always mess up your last name, I'm sorry. Is going to accept the proclamation. Oh, yes, yes. Welcome, come to the podium. I didn't, yay! He's one of our employees, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Honorable council members, honorable mayor, thank you for your recognition this evening. For those of you that aren't aware, the mission of the Hispanic Roundtable is to strengthen the Latino community through partnerships, education, community building, and cultural representation. It's through partnerships like the one that we're establishing with the city of Tumwater. And as you notice, we have a new member to our board, Bonnie Hale, an employee with the city, so that we continue to strengthen this community. Your support of diversity, equity, and inclusion is admirable, especially, and I have to say that we absolutely appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Any other? All right, with that, we are now going to move to public comment. And at this time, public comment, You may comment on items related to city business not scheduled for a public hearing, which we do not have a public hearing this evening. I've been handed the sign-in sheet, and so when I call your name, please come up to the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name and contact information for the record. Each individual will be limited to 1 3-minute period for the remarks, and we'll have a clock. And regardless of the number of topics, it is limited to 3 minutes. May not comment upon or promote, advocate, or oppose or speak against pending initiatives, ballot measures, or candidates. All comments shall be directed towards the council as a whole and not to individual council members and not to members of the audience. We request that you refrain from disruptive behaviors such as booing, hissing, and audible comments, cheering, and clapping. So with that, I have, do we have anyone signed up online? No one online. All right. Is it Karen or Corinne McMichael? Carrion. I knew I was going to mess that up.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for this opportunity to provide comment. My name is Carrie Ann McMichael. I live in Lacey, and my children live in Tumwater every other week with their dad. I was present at the unsanctioned signature gathering event on Saturday after middle school. After going on a walk with Aaron, we purposely chose to walk an alternative route that day to avoid any potential conflict. But afterwards, a few of us, a pastor, a fellow educator, and a woman who is trans, chose to observe the event. It was calm when we arrived around 11:40. The kids were drumming, music was playing, and both groups were intermixed. The signature gatherers were mostly on the school's lawn and the mostly on the sidewalk. As soon as the signature gatherers took the mic, the mood changed. The protesters started making noise and the crowd grew agitated. I saw a kid with a megaphone being jostled about by larger men holding plastic signs. I went over and placed my body between the men and the kid for as long as I could. I got poked in the head with their signs repeatedly and had to step aside, but I think that was on accident. Just after I stepped aside from the kid with the megaphone, a protester passed me. Both he and the protester had both hands on a stick. The kid was tackled and the situation seemed to erupt. A signature gatherer used an American flag on a pole to jab at a kid drumming and then kicked at him. Another signature gatherer used chemical spray on the protesters. Signature gatherers stomped on the ankles of the kid that was being subdued by the two guards. I would like clarification regarding RCW 941-300. I'm curious if any firearms should have been on school grounds in pursuant of that RCW. I want to commend the guard for ensuring that his gun stayed holstered when someone grabbed at it, and I want to commend the Tumwater police who arrived quickly in large numbers to the scene, and I want to commend the paramedics who cared for the injured woman who was there protesting to protect trans kids. I'm also here today because of comments made online. I'm heartbroken to hear that the children who felt like they needed to fight for their lives are being called terrorists. They made noise to stand up for their right to exist. It's heartbreaking to think of a time when people of color couldn't play sports or use a restroom or swim with people who are white. That wasn't that long ago. My own mom was the first to integrate her junior high, and it feels like we're slipping back into those times. I hope where our words and our actions welcome and uplift all children in our community, where kids don't feel they have to protest their right to exist, and I hope we can make the thing that drives us forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Courtney, I'm not sure if it's an M or A. Okay, go ahead, and your name for the record and your address.
I'm Courtney Holthouse. I live in Tumwater at 6605 Laron Court Southwest. My name is Courtney Holthouse, and I'm not a lawyer or a politician. I'm a pro se plaintiff, standing alone in federal court against Tumwater Police Department, Multi-Care Lacey Emergency, Providence St. Peter's Hospital, and the Washington State Department of Corrections for claims of retaliation and medical malpractice. They've got money. They've got lawyers. They've got every advantage that power can buy. And me, I've got grit, pain, and truth. I don't hide me. I have binders full of evidence, which I took from free piles at the courthouse, envelopes from the dollar store, and the fire of someone who refused to be erased. I'm not rich, I'm real. I'm one of the people this system pretends to protect while it looks the other way. When Washington stayed complacent, when my own state didn't want to see what was happening, an obvious civil rights catastrophe, I sent my words outward. I've now mailed over 100 letters to governors and mayors across this country, every one of them a signal flare into the dark. And you know who finally answered? Delaware, the first state. Mayor Robin Christensen of Dover took the time to write me back, to tell me that freedom is to be cherished and to stay strong. That answer mattered. It meant that somebody out there still hears the people who fight alone, because this isn't just my battle. It's a mirror held against people and then punishes them for not breaking quietly. So no, I'm not going to disappear. I'm not going to move on. I'm not going to be silent so that powerful people can sleep better at night. I'll keep sending those letters. I'll keep speaking. Because if the first state can listen, maybe the rest of this country can too. Don't count on me giving up. Count on me fighting back like a girl. Thank you.
Thank you. Christy Reynolds.
Good evening. I'm Christy Reynolds, 9020 Blomberg Street. And I'm here, just kind of changing the tone a little bit. I wanted to say thank you. We recently had our grand opening and a ribbon cutting here in this community, and I wanted to thank you for the city leadership that was able to attend and to the ribbon cutting. And as a Tumwater resident and somebody that grew up here, family, to be able to be a part of our community and bringing our business back meant a lot to have some familiar and friendly faces. And so we just wanted to take a moment and thank you for welcoming us back.
Great, thank you. Is it Rita or Retta? Rita, I can't read the last name, I'm sorry. If you could. Oh, okay.
My name is Rita Robinson. I live on Hoadley Loop, and I am here to talk about the tree ordinance. I want to ask the City Council if they would please speed up the revisions to the tree ordinance. Rather than having it ready in 2026, please do it now, because things are dire. This is Hoadley Loop. The urban forest is rapidly being deforested. This is 2011. This is 2024. You can see very plainly from the photos how much my neighborhood is being deforested. About 2/3 of the trees are gone. So I'd also like to, so this is where I live right here. This is my neighbor. Last year he cut down all the trees in the front. This year he's been working on cutting all the trees on the side of his house. He's taken months to limb them himself, and he hauled away the limbs. Then he had someone cut down the trees, and this is what's on his property now. It's been there for 2 months, and the city is looking into whether or not it's a violation of the tree ordinance. On the 18th of September, 2 chainsaws. I assumed it was my neighbor who was cutting up those logs that you saw, but it was a crew cutting down 5 trees on Middle Street, which is right across the fence from my house. So this is a nice big cherry tree. It had a few dead branches here, you can see better than this photo. I talked to the crew, I talked to the owner, and they said the trees were dying. So I don't think this tree was dying. The leaves weren't curled up, the leaves weren't, the trunk wasn't split, there was no fungus, and so here's the tree stump, and it looked healthy to me. So in addition to speeding up the tree ordinance, I would like the city to do more in terms of public education. People need to educated about the value of trees. I read the comprehensive plan, the climate element. It talks about peat And the ordinance that you have now for trees, we're not going to be climate ready. It's not protecting the tree canopy. So also, here's the cherry tree. Here's some alder trees. They also cut those down. So this is I have 40 beautiful rhododendrons. Now the shade in my backyard is going to be reduced. I'm going to have to buy a portable air conditioner. And the comprehensive plan talks about the city being climate ready. And so we need to do a better job on the tree ordinance. So here's my comment.
Thank you. All right. That's all the individuals that I had signed. Anyone else in the audience who wanted to speak? All right. With that, we will move to the calendar. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Dahlhaus, seconded by Councilmember Agabi. Any discussion? All right, with that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right. With that, we have approved the minutes of the City Council meeting for September 16th, approval of the City Council Strategic Planning Retreat of September 20th, approval of the minutes of the City Council work session of September 23rd, payment vouchers, Resolution R 2025-017, which is surplus property, service provider agreement with SCJ Alliance for the Deschutes Valley Trail, the cloud contract amendment with Tyler Technology, and reappointment of the Historic Preservation Committee, and appointment of Charlie Edmondson for the Tree Board. Next item on our agenda is under council considerations, and this is the service provider agreement with TCF Architect PLLC for the city operations and maintenance facility design amendment number 1. And we have staff here, so go ahead and introduce and start your presentation.
1 second here, let me get to, oh, sorry. There we go. Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. My name is Capital Projects Manager for the City of Tumwater. This evening, I'm here to talk to you about the Service Provider Agreement Amendment Number 1 with TCF Architecture for the Public Works Facility out at Trails End. I did want to make note that the project has renamed to the City Public Works Facility. It was formerly the Operations and Maintenance Facility. My objective at tonight's presentation is to give an update on 3 of the projects that are related to the Public Works Facility, and second, provide background and history on the design and programming of the Public Works Facility, and finally, highlight the key points of the Service Provider Agreement. So in the image I have here, you can see the public and the 3 other projects that we have basically interlinked to the project. The old Highway 99, 79th Avenue roundabout and frontage improvements, the Trails End Park, and then the building demolition. I'll now provide updates on those 3 projects, just to kind of let you know where we're at. So this shows the old Highway 99, 79th Avenue roundabout. The design includes a new roundabout at the intersection of Old Highway 99 and 79th, and also includes the frontage improvements adjacent to the Public Works Facility on 79th Avenue in Trails End and Arab Drive. The status of this project is the design is essentially substantially complete. We are still working on some of the property acquisitions and coordination with the port and FAA for approval of the right-of-way acquisition. The second project I have Trails End Park. We had the preliminary park layout completed. That's what you see in the image here. Coordinated with the Parks Department and the Parks Commission. Recently, the council moved the service provider agreement for this project, and we've just kicked off the design on the park. We're expecting the design to be completed in late 2026. So the third project, go ahead.
Hold on, Councilmember Jefferson.
So the project is going to be complete late 2026?
Yes.
So when's it going to start?
We've started design right now.
Okay.
So the design will be completed by.
So it's the design. I got all
Yes.
excited. I was thinking. Okay.
So the Trails End building demolition, city staff, we are actively working on the design of this, which includes the removal of the remaining buildings that are out there on the the old Trails End horse riding arena. Really, the goal of the removal of those two buildings is to remove I guess, what would maybe be called an attractive nuisance to some of the maybe folks that are around out there, and also eliminate some of the ongoing vandalism and strain on the city maintenance in trying to keep that secure. So next, I'm going to touch on the timeline of the Public Works facility, primarily focusing on the administration building that's a part of the Public Works facility, just because that's really what the service provider agreement ultimately is for. So to kind of take a step back, in 2011, the city began the search for a new site, and in 2014, the city purchased the Trails End horse riding arena. After the project was purchased, some early programming efforts were put into the property, or were looked at for the property. These programming concepts or efforts were trying to identify how the Public Works facility would best fit on the property, and at that time, the Public Works staff, all of the facility staff, and all of the park staff. In 2016, and then through 2022, the city entered into a agreement with TCF Architecture on the formal master planning and pre-design efforts for that facility. And again, the facility programming, site layout, building layout, and orientations, and ultimately determining what the space needs for the buildings would be. The administration building during the master planning and the programming there were a number of changes that were made throughout the programming. And in the early stages of that master planning, it was determined it was best to remove the parks and facilities staff from that facility, but still include all of the Public Works and office and operations staff at the facility. As the programming continued to progress, realized that project costs were still higher than what was targeted. So they delayed putting the Water Resources Department and the Transportation and Engineering Department office staff into the facility, and then set aside some space for future expansion of the administration building to account for the office that was not being programmed into the facility at that time. Ultimately, the goal of the city was to have a facility that encompassed all of the Public Works but at the time, the city just couldn't make it work with the budget. I did want to note on the image here, this is kind of the result of the master planning efforts that were completed. What I'm referring to as the administration building is the blue colored building down towards the bottom. It's identified as building A on that, and then the expansion would be off to the left of that building A. In 2023, the city entered into a new service provider agreement, again with TCF Architecture, progressing those planning schematics that were prepared and preparing the design plans and specifications. That the final design plans were based on the site layout that was selected during those master planning efforts. And at that time, the administration building came out to about an 8,000 square foot building. And at that time, it was designed to house the transportation and engineering department, water resources, operational staff, and again, provided for future expansion for the office staff of the transportation and engineering department and water resources. So the graphic I have here is basically the floor plan that was developed through those design efforts. And just to kind of hit on the high points there, it was set aside or programmed to be just the operational staff for water resources and the transportation and engineering department. Yes.
Okay, hold on a moment. Councilmember Jefferson?
Yes, so what's the future expansion for? Is that which offices?
So the future to the water resources and transportation and engineering office staff. This floor plan is just for the operation.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Daha?
Thank you. With what you have on that screen, what portion of 1,000 square feet?
Basically everything that's in color with what looks like hallways there. The area in red is the future expansion. The future expansion isn't truly representative of what the future expansion would. It's more just a graphical view of expansion to the, off to the left of the building.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So in 2024, the city took a look at the staffing levels and kind of the future needs of the city and realized that more space would be needed sooner rather than later, basically sooner than anticipated. So the city engaged in some reprogramming efforts with the consultant to look at how the public works to alleviate some of those staffing concerns. What this meant was going back to some of the master planning efforts that were completed, and ultimately looking at an opportunity to bring all of Public Works staff together in one facility. And then that facility was also, the approach there was to also look at the future growth of staff and incorporate that as well.
Councilmember Daha has a question.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been saying for a while, meeting today's needs while also building for the future, so I appreciate this. The one question I have is I know that when this all started forever ago, basically almost a decade ago, drafting that communication plan with the neighboring communities. So if this happened in 2024 and it's October 2025, what was that process of engaging with the 5 neighboring neighborhoods of going from 8,000 to 24,000?
I don't know if I'm relatively new, so I don't know if I can answer that with my background in history. I don't know, Bill or Brandon. Brandon?
Yeah, it's Brandon here. So ultimately, 2024, late 2024, going through the budget process is when this came up. It was never real. What we did since late 2024 through part of this year is we worked with the architect to see if it was even possible. We did a little bit of programming, kind of see what the building would look like. ultimately to bring it forward to y'all to see if it's something that we can start working forward with in design. The communication that has happened to date has been through CFP process, and there's been some in committees and things like that, but ultimately discussing the CFP. So right now we're kind of at the introduction, kind of explaining what's happening. And I think the best way to look at this is we're just pushing into the future 5 years, because when this was programmed, we were constructing in about 2020, and we knew that we were going to have to move the office staff prior to about 2030, just because that we were growing. So we've ultimately just pushed it forward 5 years. But we've also lost 5 years in the timeline, going through the design, communication, redesign, and communication or public outreach processes over the last few years as well. So this is essentially the grand unveiling of a plan, and then communication would follow up.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, Councilmember Von Holtz?
I guess I'm a little concerned about that, just because of the emails about the extra pickleball. We already know that there's neighbors around this area who don't already like what the plan is, and now we're adding to it, and we haven't done diligence, it sounds like, with public engagement. There's a similar project the city of Redmond is doing, and they're investing highly in making sure that the public engagement to the communities is there, so they have buy-in. And so I guess I'm going to say it for the millionth time, managing expectations. I want community members to feel like we're being transparent, and so I have concerns about the lack of engagement so far.
Yeah, and I might be able to touch a little bit to that. So when we first engaged in this project, public, and started talking about it, we had day one staffing that was going to go out there was about 70 staff, and then it had 2036 staffing level of 167 people. We actually ended up with an entire department, that being Parks Rec, which includes facilities. And then, so we were proceeding as just Public Works, and that was the plan. The only reason that office staff were pulled out was a budgetary constraint. And by adding them, we actually have not increased. In fact, 10 years from now, we're going to be, our current projections are about 20 staff lower than we were going to be the last time we spoke to the public. It's just day one. As soon as we open, we're going to have about 30 more staff out there. But overall, we're still going to have less than the last time we spoke to the public, simply because our staffing levels have not grown as fast as we had estimated when we last reached out. And so ultimately, within the next 4 or 5 years, we would have had the same exact number of staff out there. But in 10 years, we're going to have less staff than we originally planned, because we're not growing as fast as we thought.
Councilmember Holtz, my name is Bill Lindauer. I'm the city engineer. I just wanted to just make a mention of the Trails in Park. So those are those two projects are kind of on two separate tracks. TCF Architecture is designing our public works facility, and the design by a different consultant. But Chuck Denny was involved in the coordination for the parks of the phase one plan, which is basically the layout of the park itself. So that did go through some functions, and also it went through the Parks Commission, and they presented it and discussed it and things like that. So there has been work as actual layout. I think the only current contention that we're kind of hearing about is the pickleball court. that's kind of the rest of it be okay. We're not getting a lot of pushback on any of the trails or any of the other features that are a part of that. So does that kind of answer the question?
Well, I mean, I understand that. I was on the Parks Commission for 10 years. So, no, I get that. But the maintenance facility, we're expanding the footprint is what my understanding is. This is a different design element. We're expanding.
That is true.
So I know that there's a group of residents that live in that area that are upset about the maintenance facility going in there at all because they're afraid about truck traffic and disruptions and that thing. So we already know that there's people that have a concern. So I guess I just use the pickleball. That was the most recent. That was a complaint. I'm just saying that we already know that there's community members that have a concern. And so when things change, it just makes sense to meet that at the head, right? Like we already know. And so if that hasn't been done and we're changing the footprint of what we said we were going to do, which some people already had a concern with, then I'm guessing they're going to have a concern with changes. And that was me.
And I would just say, this is beginning that new process. So this will start with that. Councilmember Agabi. And well, first let me go to Councilmember Kathy and then Councilmember Agabi.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm one of the people here who I think has been here from the beginning of this and have some scars to prove it. And I want to agree with what has already been said. To make this kind of change without communication to the community, and that community there that we have had issues with for 20 years, no, not quite that long, but at least the 10 most recent years is a great faux pas on our part. I mean, things that I've heard. So we're going from an 8,000 square foot building to a 2,400 building. And we're going to pay over $1 million to have a redesign done. The question that some have asked is a redesign. Number one thing, what is that going to do? What's that going to push around? What's that going to farther? How's this going to impact the whole thing that some people are still rattled about and others are trying to get adopted? And so there's the size, there's the money that's involved. That's going to, the city somehow is going to pay for that, the constituents of the city. And I think the other thing was, if you're going to put more staff out there, you're going to put more cars out there. Where are they going to go? Are they going to park in the parking lot? Are we going to have more cars? We're going to have more pollution. We're going to have more noise. We've already heard all of these things. And here we go and do some major change without communicating to the community that sits on the curb of that place. And, I'm tired of us not learning our lessons about this. Not all. We do a great job with a lot of community outreach and a lot of complicated things. We have not done well with this project, in my estimation, and in my experience of it from the very beginning. And now here we are with something else, and it's frustrating and wearisome, and it has produced some more angst. So I just wanted to say that. So I want to answer to some of these things too, because I'd like to pass them along and let people know. Or what is it going to mean to make a bigger place? What about this cost? What about adding to our debt? So anyway, that's my. Thank you. That's my spiel.
So I appreciate the questions. My memory's not the best, so I'm gonna work backwards here, and then hopefully Jared or Bill can step in as well. For we're moving out more staff. Really, we are not moving out more staff. That's not what's happening. What's happening is the staff that are moving out day one has gone up. But we are not moving out more staff. It's the same exact staff that we're always going out there. We just couldn't afford it in the budget that we had established. And then as the last couple years, the city as a whole has added a lot of staff in order to keep up with growth, with priorities that this council sets, and that's across all departments. The most responsible solution that we came up with is, rather than wait 5 more years for this expansion that we know has to happen, is to just include it with the existing project, because we get economies of scale. We can get it all under one loan. The financing is just much better, and the alternatives were going to be to move more departments into satellite buildings outside of City Hall. And so this is the most stable use of city funds in order to have places for people to sit. But there is not more staff going out there. It's just the people who work in the office are moving out there about 5 years sooner than they would have. And the good thing is that none of the office staff know how to operate large equipment or drive big vehicles, and a good portion of them work remotely. But ultimately, again, there is no additional staff going out there. It's just some staff are moving out there sooner than what we. The funding, I believe that gets discussed a little bit later in the slide, but the ultimate message is that it's debt financing, and so there's a big difference between trying to go out and build something completely new for another department, or completely renovate a leased building, apartment and leased building, versus taking a loan that we know that we're going to have, or debt that we know that we're going to have, and increasing it slightly. And you're just looking at the annual payments difference. And again, I'm certain we have a financing slide coming up, and Troy might be able to help talk finance in there, because engineers say things backwards. And then as far as what the building changes will look like, the overall aesthetics are going to look the exact same. It's as far as the same theme, but the building in the image that Jared had earlier in his slide, where it showed it going to the left, it's expanding that direction to the left. And then there's a small portion of the building that is going up. So it'll be 2-story, but it's a shallow 2-story, and it's actually going to block the view of the metal buildings in the back partially. So it'll be in that sense. You can see the second story is that small square or rectangle in the upper corner there. You mentioned the differences in size. Some of the things that it's hard to see in this image, but by bringing in the office staff, we're now also adding in a lab for water resources and sustainability. So that's a good portion of the space there. When you get a building this big, your equipment rooms get massive. Those white spaces that you see that aren't colored, the white rooms, those are equipment rooms or IT rooms. And then we've got the large community space that we anticipate some of the HOAs and stuff out there using for meetings.
Can I ask thank you for all of that, Brandon. Some of it sounds familiar, and some of it sounds, like you've been working on how to get to new places for what we need. I appreciate that. I was wondering, in the wording of what I read, why are we having to do so much redesign of and are things going to get pushed around? Is something going to get closer to somebody in the houses in the back? I think people were concerned about how expanding something is going to change what you have there, and they're trying to get used to living with.
Yeah. So the building is not getting any closer to any residence. It is actually, where it is lengthening or increasing in size is on the west side of the building, which is toward the industrial buildings out in the area. It's just going to block more view and noise from the yard in the back where the heavy equipment is. from the residential communities on the side of 79th Avenue. And then you had a question before that.
The design, the $1 million+ for a redesign with the things that you mentioned there, like landscape, irrigation, I don't know if it said buildings, but that was my question. Why so much redesign if you're just extending the building in its place?
So it's a couple elements. One of the main factors is that by increasing the size of the building, we completely changed all the mechanical. It's some of the most expensive design work. We went vertical, which added stairs and a whole bunch of new design elements. All of our communications, IT equipment, everything changed. Ultimately, the only thing that we can salvage from the original design is the foyer and the community meeting space, which is on the far right-hand side of the screen, the white area over there. That's just about all that was salvageable from the original design to make this work. And even if we were able to salvage more on this particular project, we as a city don't do facility projects. I mean, it's not very often that we're actually out building buildings. And so this one uses a type of contract that we don't typically use. The way that the design fees are set is it's based on the cost of the building. And so that amendment, that dollar number that's a little over $1 million, it is prescriptive. It comes out of a state fee guideline for this type of project. And it says if your building costs this much, this is how much your design costs. And that's ultimately what you pay. There's not a whole lot of negotiation involved with it. We were able to negotiate any items that we determined they could reuse from the original design. We negotiated that out. We weren't willing to pay for things that we knew that they could reuse, and they didn't. They're a good architect, so they understood. And then we negotiated some of I forget the exact term, but extras that aren't included in the basic fee that have to do with things like the mechanical, the HVAC, and things like that. But ultimately, the cost of the design is almost entirely based on the cost of the building.
So does what we designed originally and the whole layout out there, does what we're planning to do by, enlarging this building going to affect the need for more parking?
So we have in the original design and in all the schematics and everything that's been shown from day one, we have the full build out parking, the large parking lot that's on the east side, on the park side. That hasn't been entirely popular, but we've explained it has to be there because of the number of staff that are going to be here by 2036. You can't fit it on the same site because we pushed all the buildings onto that side in order to get a park. So yes, the parking is going to be adequate. That future parking that's in all the drawings, that'll have to occur sooner in all likelihood, maybe not. It's hard to say. And we'll go through, if this moves forward, when we start working with the architect, we'll do, another count on the number of parking spots needed. I believe that as originally designed, we're still okay. But we'll just have to understand that we will have to do that expansion as planned. It just might be a little sooner.
And as you said, that's one of the touchy things, so.
It is. I would
you already know all of these things.
I would prefer staff not having to cross. It's not like Trails End is a busy street, but I would prefer them being able to park closer to the building. But, it really came down to the only way to get a park is to squish all the buildings onto this one side, and that was the best way to do it.
Thanks, Brandon. I appreciate you doing this. This will go, and listening to you say these things are understanding where the city's coming from. I think this will be very helpful for people who have questions and those of us who are answering some people.
Yeah, and thank you for that comment. I will say that Jared and Bill get the credit on any things that do come on this. I just get to come in and speak because I have the history.
Come in and take a few darts and go back.
All right. I think, Councilmember Gabi, did you still have a question?
Yes. So if my memory serves me right, I believe in 2022 we have a community engagement, and we even have the resident from that particular area come to the city. Was it like a community hearing, public hearing? And before that, we had talked about mitigation efforts to screen out. If you're still on the line, Brandon, right? So
yes, I am still here.
Yeah, we have talked about that. We will have the heavy truck come from the east side of that road instead of going to 99W, and then we will screen out this particular side of the building that faces the neighborhood, so that we will screen out all the lights so that that's not showing into the neighborhood. Is all of that still going to be taking place, or have there been any changes to those mitigation plans?
So I'm not familiar with mitigation regarding the lighting. We are under the same ordinance for, I think it's called the dark sky ordinance. So all of our lighting will have they'll be downward lit. So it won't impact this is the administration building. So it's 79th Avenue. It's across the street for those folks.
Right.
The new lighting on the building will not impact them. There's street lighting on 79th Avenue as well already. The mitigation that I remember for the abutting properties was actually on the north side, so the opposite side of the property. And those mitigation measures are being incorporated. There's plantings, there's noise mitigation strategies, screening, things like that.
So about the pickball, what is so particular about pickball noise that is not inherited in soccer, baseball, or any other type of sport? Is there any kind of decibel that goes with playing pickball?
I can't speak to pickleball. I don't know. Maybe Chuck might have some information if he's here.
Yes, I can talk about pickleball. Studies have been done at various universities and through various organizations. There is a particular noise that the pickleball makes when it hits the paddle that is somehow just unnerving and worse than any other court ball sport in the world. So it is an issue. Pickleball close to houses is an issue. I think the city of Boise just got rid of about 6 pickleball courts that were within 50 feet of a housing development because of the noise issue. So as we went through the design process for this park with the neighborhoods, we did 2 different open houses with them. There was a lot of pressure to put 2 pickleball courts in. We kept it to 1 because it's a neighborhood park, and in neighborhood parks we're not trying to attract people from out of the area. It's a neighborhood park to serve those residents that surround it. 1 pickleball court was appropriate, and that was really supported by everyone that attended. Since then, we have heard from one person that is adamantly to the pickleball court being there. I will say we have pickleball court at Jim Brown Park and at Barcliffe Park, homes than this pickleball court will be, and we haven't had any complaints with those facilities. So we're moving forward with pickleball. We may look at more to the center of the park than where it's currently located, just to have it a little bit further from everybody. But I don't really foresee 1 court being a major issue.
So now, you use the word neighborhood park. I have issue with that. So if a taxpayer, go to that park and decide to play pickball, does it mean I'm not allowed to play pickball there because it's not my neighborhood? So.
Oh, absolutely not.
So hold on. So now, when we say it's a neighborhood park, we need to change that language to say it's a park in the city of Tumwater that any resident can go to. And now, as by playing pickleball in that park, maybe we ought to do something about the noise that pickleball is going to emit. Other than that, it's a neighborhood case, because the part of the testimony that we have in 2022 was where we were promised that this was our park, was going to be a park, so therefore we want XYZ. Where we are using Tumwater residents' money to build the park. So unless the neighborhood is building their own park, in other words, they pick and choose what they want that to look like, is a park owned by the city of Tumwater that anybody can go to.
Correct. Really, a neighborhood park is a designation we use for how we develop it, and it's a designation within the Parks, Recreation, Open Space Plan with certain elements that go within neighborhood parks versus like a community park, Pioneer Park, that would have multiple sports fields and attract hundreds of people a day. A neighborhood park has elements somewhat similar to every other neighborhood, so you have the opportunity to use it close to your house. If you want to travel to another facility within Tumwater, absolutely, we welcome anybody to do that, and people do that. But we're trying not to provide elements that will bring dozens or 100 people coming in one neighborhood and from the streets and taking over a park. So we're trying to provide those amenities in each neighborhood so everybody has the opportunity to use it.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions before we continue with the presentation? All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want valuable comments and questions there, and I appreciate the insights from Brandon and Chuck on that as well. So just to kind of quickly summarize or pick up where we were on this one, the new administration building is programmed to be just over 24,000 square feet with the estimated additional construction cost of $8.4 million resulting from the larger building. And just some real quick highlights. I think Brandon covered this for the most part, but just wanted to highlight that kind of the area in blue on this graphic was the area set aside for water resources. The pinkish color was the transportation and engineering department, with the orange and some of the clear or white, I should say, on the left side being the operational programmed spaces. So what are the advantages of the administration building increasing? I'll probably already touched on, so I'll just kind of go through them here fairly fast, but if there are questions, feel free to jump in. This was a part of the city's original plan for future expansion, and it was a planned move that needed to occur in less than 10 years from the inception of the smaller project.
Hold on, Councilman Jefferson.
Yes, so planned move that is going to need to occur in less than 10 years. Is it because of our rapid population growth? Because I know Thurston County, Tumwater is the fastest growing in Washington State. So is that it? So our population is just exploding, so we need staff.
Well,
more staff.
Maybe somewhat tied to that. It was more so tied to the staff and also what was already programmed into the facility. So just to kind of take a step back, that there was the 8,000 square foot building, which had effectively taken out the office staff in some of the earlier programming or some of the early master planning was planned to be at that facility.
Okay.
But with that transition, all of the operational staff and all of the public or transportation department and water resources office staff were all coming back together.
All right. Instead of being at the community college, they're coming back home to that building.
Correct,
right.
Exactly. And that's some of the points we have on here. Just to really quickly hit on the second one, we have an active project design which facilitates expediting the timeline. We have TCF architecture already on board, and with this service provider agreement amendment, it kind of allows the continuation of that, and is actually really able to get started on this on a fairly short order. And project at a point where it's designed by April of 2026. So it just kind of touches on that can be realized in this rather than having to go to if this was being expanded upon to a completely different project. And then this also consolidates the satellite office, primarily the water resources office staff that are currently out at SPSCC, and kind of brings everybody together, and also with the transition of the transportation and engineering department office staff out to the public works facility. It frees up some basement space, which is desperately needed here at City Hall for some of the other departments and some of the other folks upstairs here that are sharing offices and kind of had to be cramped in with others. The last bullet point there is the construction of the public works facility will require debt financing, and it's more cost effective to build and finance a single facility that meets the long-term needs of the city now rather than in the future when it would cost more. So my next slide here is to really just shift focus onto what I am here to kind of primarily talk about, which is the service provider agreement number 1. The amendment number 1 scope of work is focused on the administration building design, the plan specification, the cost estimate, and all the, as well as some site improvements, civil and utility, to kind of realign with the larger building. The scope of work also includes construction support, which has the construction administration services elements tied to it. So just to give to the highlights of some of the work in the service provider agreements that have been completed to date. In 2016, there was a service provider agreement with TCF Architecture for the master planning and pre-design. That was a not to exceed cost of just over $150,000 for those master planning and pre-design efforts. And then in 2023, there was a new service provider agreement for the design services for the 100% plan specs and estimate with a not to exceed amount of $2,450,000. And currently we are at for amendment number 1, which primarily focuses on administration building design and the civil and construction support components along with that. It will increase the design fee by $1,247,727 to a total fee not to exceed just under $3.7 million. This amendment also extends the agreement through 2026. So just some fiscal notes here. The estimated construction cost for the Public Works facility is around $40 million with the administration building revisions. It's included in the 2024 through 2029 capital facilities plan and in the general governmental water, sewer, and storm capital facilities plans. The funding will be split 33% general percent water, 22% sewer, and 17% storm. And from here, I'm going to invite Troy to kind of touch on some financing options that would go along with this.
Councilmember Kathy, did you have a question before we go into that?
Just a quick question. I got a question about where we're saying there that the funding is split and water, sewer, storm, anything. That means that we're going to have to continually raise those each year. This is their question. Are we going to have to continue to raise those and every single year and maybe more percentage-wise than we have in the past for this project?
So my understanding is that the raises in the utility rates have already occurred. Rates will always go up just because costs go up in order to maintain and grow, but growth pays for growth. So they will continue to go up, but my understanding is that the raises that occurred for the operations facility have already occurred because we were building in the funds to get started.
Thanks.
I'll just, hi everybody, this is Troy Niemeyer, Finance Director. Good evening. I'll just, before I start on my portion, I'll just kind of tag on to what Brandon said. One advantage of financing this over a period of years is that the growth within the city, more people paying in and into the general fund will help make those debt service payments in the future. So this, if we paid cash for this and paid for it all today, that basically means that the existing residents pay for everything and the new residents that move in down the road don't. And so that's another advantage to taking the financing route for this. And so on this slide here, this is a estimate that I put together 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's a scenario based on a $40 million construction cost. And there's a couple options here. These are both pretty common. We could do a 20-year bond issuance or a 30-year bond issuance. The 20-year does come with a little bit lower interest rate. And these are interest rates from, again, 3 or 4 weeks ago. You probably heard in the news, the Federal Reserve a week or two ago cut the federal interest rate by 0.25%. So depending on what happens between now and the time we go out for financing, these rates could be different, which will affect all of these numbers. But this is still a pretty good baseline and gets us pretty close. So a shorter term bond gives you a little bit lower interest rate, and of course, and then you also are paying it back over fewer years. Interest we pay over the life of this would be less. A 30-year bond is a little higher rate, and we pay it over a longer time, so total interest payments are higher. However, that does lower the annual payment a bit, and so there's kind of advantages and disadvantages, however you look at it. We could, depending on what interest rates do and what the economy does, if interest rates continue to fall, we could be in a really great position with a very low interest rate, but there's no guarantee of that. That's something we'll have to evaluate as we go along. So in this example, the annual debt service payment on the 20-year bond is just a little over $3 million a year. On the 30-year bond, it's a little over $2.5 million a year. And split out in those percentages that you see there, using the 30-year example, that would be $844,000 in the general fund, $716,000 in the water fund, $500,000 in the utility, and $435,000 in the storm utility. And so that's it. These are kind of the common scenarios that we'd probably be looking at. We do have kind of how this works. We've talked about debt financing a little bit last year, building up to the budget, but some questions came up at the last Public Works Committee meeting, so I'll go through those real quick too. So we will, to make this financing happen, we will work with a bond underwriter who kind of guides us through the process. They help market and sell the bond. We get the money and we pay it back over time. Right now we have almost no debt. We're finishing paying off a fire apparatus and a couple things. We have no outstanding bonds and less than $1 million in debt overall for the city. So we're in a really good financial position to do this.
Councilmember Jefferson, did you have a question?
Here. So we were looking at the community center bond. We don't have the exact amount yet. And now we're looking at this bond. So when are we looking to finance this? Is it around the same time? So have you looked at both of the payments for both of them, and are we still looking healthy?
Yes, for this one, it sounds like the time has shifted a little bit. If design is complete near the end of 2026, then we could be looking at financing around that time, but probably more likely into 2027 sometime. For the community center, that's going to be a different funding source. That would be Fulton Parks District. So that's a completely different fund, a completely different revenue stream. I have looked at that kind of took a look at that a little bit after the last presentation, and the biggest, they kind of had like a small, medium, and large design. The largest design with the current level of revenue we get from the TMPD is out of reach for us. So we need to go to something smaller than the biggest one, or we would need to do a levy lid lift for the TMPD, bring in more money to pay that debt service.
All right.
So those are some decisions we'll be looking at in the near future.
All right.
Any other questions?
Any additional questions? Councilmember Swarthout.
Thank you, Mayor. For Public Works, I do want to apologize to my colleagues. When I was looking through this now, I realized that originally the Public Works Committee did considerations from our September 18th meeting, so I apologize because I realized that there's probably only 3 of us that were on council or in this project back in 2014, and so I realized that it was going to be new for all of you, and so the concerns that you're bringing out too were things that we realized that you need. So thank you for your presentation. I really do appreciate the level of conversation that we've had and the questions, and look forward to this project that you're bringing forward. My only question is making sure that we're going to be a green building, so we're going to be electric. So, but thank you for your presentation.
Great. Any additional questions? All right, but I do believe that this needs to take action. So is anyone make?
With that, then I'd like to make a motion.
All right, go ahead.
I would like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the service provider agreement amendment number 1 with TCF Architecture PLLC for the city operations and maintenance facility design.
And I second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilmember Swarthout, seconded by Councilmember Jefferson. Any discussion on the motion? All right, with that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, council members.
All right, thank
Mayor.
you. All right, now we will move to committee reports. Councilmember Agabi, Public Health and Safety.
Thank you, Mayor. So we are going to be meeting on the 14th next week. And on the agenda for next week, I see our Tustin County Data Dashboard app and then the Advanced Life Support Agreement. Those are the 2 items that I see on our agendas thus far. That's my report.
Great, thank you. Next will be General Government Committee, Councilmember Althauser.
Thank you, Mayor. The General Government Committee is actually meeting tomorrow morning. We will continue our journey through the 2025 Comprehensive Plan periodic update. We will again be working on the user guide, which I think will be a really great tool for helping our community parse through the plan. And that's our agenda.
Great, thank you. Public Works Committee, Councilmember Swarthout.
Thank you, Mayor. I think we'll be traveling through the comprehensive plan as well, but we get to hear about the capital facilities plan, the 26-2031 water, sanitary, sewer, and storm drain. So please, it sounds exciting, and I hope you guys will join us at 8 a.m. on Thursday, October 9th.
And Budget and Finance Committee met on September 26th, and one of the items we did approve on the amendment to the Tyler Technologies agreement, and then we had our year-to-date budget finance, and so we will be meeting again later in October. So now we will go to the Mayor City Administrator report, and I will start with City Administrator Parks.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members. I just have a couple of quick things for you tonight. We are super excited to let you and the public know that our Tumwater Fire Mobile Outreach Team is officially started operations as of October 1st. They've already had some referrals and have been out in our community helping people already. We're still working through some workflow issues, as you can imagine. Still have a couple of employees who need to complete their onboarding. But as we've talked about before, this is a community-based crisis team. It is our mobile crisis response services within the city of Tumwater. The team operates using a co-responder model, and this is a fire department and Olympic Health and Recovery Services. And the team consists of a crisis clinician and a peer support staff member that are responding. So our Tumwater Fire and Police departments will be requesting the mobile outreach team to respond as needed on emergency incidents. The team is also responding to calls that come in through the 24/7 regional crisis line. And so if you or any staff members come across somebody who appears to be in need, please contact that regional crisis line, and we are going to do some proactive outreach to help people understand what that number is and how we can get people some much needed help in the city of Tumwater. The second thing is thanks to the ongoing, continuing good work of our sustainability manager, Alyssa Jones-Wood. We received notification today that Tumwater has been designated a Tier 2 Evergreen City in recognition of our commitment to local, urban, and community forests. The criteria for achieving that designation includes having a dedicated tree board, having a public tree care ordinance, spending approximately $2 per urban forest, observing Arbor Day and providing a proclamation about it, and maintaining a partial tree inventory, and then adopting and implementing an urban forestry management plan, which we've been working very hard on and have made substantial progress with the help of Alyssa and all of the staff that works so hard on that project, as well as the tree board. And so in addition to that recognition, we get a metal sign. We have the state urban forestry staff, which includes annual check-ins on goals and strategies. And it does provide us with a preference to certain specific funding programs, in addition to programs that are administered by Washington State Department of Natural Resources. So excited and pleased about that recognition, and kudos again to our staff and the tree board that worked so hard on this project. And that's all I have tonight.
Great, thank you. All right, so when you have 3 weeks in between meetings, you end up getting a whole laundry list, so I'm trying to trim this down a little bit. So I attended the EDC Board of Directors meeting, and one of the items we talked about is we're going to be having a board retreat, so we were discussing that. They also talked about reorganization of some of the things that's going on with the EDC. Talked about Olympia's Proposition 1. The EDC board decided to oppose Prop 1 for Olympia. Talked about the Center for Business and Innovation report. And we also talked about the real estate forum that was coming up the following day. And council member Leetta Dahlhoff is one of the panelists for that. And then on the other assignment, I've attended the Intercity Transit Authority Board meeting on October 1st. Council member Von Holtz was not able to attend. There actually wasn't too many things on the agenda. We did talk about the 26 through 28 Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program and the service changes that a lot of people have seen the lot of information on that. There's more coming out because in May 26th, there's significant changes to the service. And then some of the other things that took place, I attended also with our communications director, the Chehalis Tribe Wellness event. And one of the things that I found interesting about that, they have that one clinic that they're starting, and they're going to be giving free transportation to their clinic that will be out by 9 tribal area. And then I went to the AWC Mayor's Forum the end of last week in Wenatchee, which is always a really good conference to go to. A couple of big events that I think was really important. Fall Fest, which I think several council members attend. That was huge this year. It really was much bigger than it was. There was more vendors, and so that was on September 27th. This last Saturday, I was one of the helpers for the cleanup drop-off. I think they said they had 50 more, if I'm off the top of my head, I'm trying to remember. Participants, people who come through, that the shredding by far is the absolute favorite. And then the Daughters of the American Revolution had the Talking Headstones tour this last Sunday at Pioneer Cemetery, and approximately 40 people went to that. Unfortunately, I had a conflict. What's that? 100? Oh, wow. I was not able to go. I was double booked that day, and so, Councilman Sorsa, did you go to that?
100 people.
Wow, that's great. And the Daughters of American Revolution are doing to clean up that cemetery is absolutely amazing. And they're volunteering their time. So I've asked that they be put on the agenda for later, probably in November, so they can give us an update on all the work that's happening. And I just think it's a service that they're doing that we just would not be able to afford, and it's just going to make that whole cemetery absolutely beautiful. So we'll go ahead and turn it over to council reports. Councilmember Kathy, do you mind if I start with you?
No, I don't. If I said yes, I do, it wouldn't matter anyway. My meetings start, I didn't have any meetings at the end of the month, really. I have 2 meetings tomorrow, and so I'd like to take a minute of this time to comment on, I wanted to thank Rita Robinson for coming to council tonight and with her pictures of the tree cutting that's going on in her neighborhood that happens to be my neighborhood. And this is very serious, that what's going on in Tumwater, and people paying attention to the fact we have a tree ordinance, and then how do you handle it after you go and see the branches and the logs and the trees on the ground? So when the tree ordinance comes up for us to talk about and to hopefully tighten and change and go by what we say we believe in, and now a new designation for our city, we have to take this very seriously, the cutting down of trees. And I know it interferes with us talking about, people on their own private property, but we have the power to set the rules for what the city says, because we have some now in the tree ordinance, and they simply are not strong enough. And so I just wanted to thank her for taking the time, the pictures, and to come tonight and share that with us. So thank you for my little interlude in my report.
Great, thank you. In Chambers, I will start with Councilmember Von Holtz.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I was out of the country, so I didn't have any. Thank you for going to intercity transit. If they had cake again, I'm going to be upset every single time.
No cake.
Every single time I miss, they have cake or something yummy, and I miss it. I don't need it. I wanted to take a moment to just kind of feels kind of not good. And what happened Saturday in our community doesn't feel good. And I love Prince, for those of you who don't know. And 4 decades ago, so makes me not feel good, he uttered the words, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here to get through this thing called life." And I think that's really resonates with me right now, because we are all human beings just trying to get through this life together, and it doesn't matter who we love, what we look like, what we believe. We're all in this together, and it feels like there's a big division right now. And around difficult topics, it is a reminder that we must see each other, our dignity first, not our differences. And as a council, we passed a anti-hate resolution. And so I just want to bring that to the forefront, and I want to recommit myself. If I see hate, I'm going to say something. If, I think that we need to bring that as a council. We thought it was important enough to make a resolution, not a proclamation. And so I want to bring that to the forefront, because this is a time in our community that we need to stand up for one another and really just make sure that we are seeing each other as human beings.
Great. Councilmember Jefferson?
Thank you, Mayor. Speaking of the cemetery, I had no committee meetings, but I discussed my recent proposal to Olympia Beyond and our city leadership to create a Tumwater Olympia Historic Heritage Tour. And it includes our beloved Pioneer Cemetery. So why now? Let me give you a little background. It started a little bit over when I was first appointed to this council by several of you sitting here today. And as soon as I was appointed, Mayor Pete, former Mayor Pete Komet, invited me to Historic Cemetery. And he walked me around, showed me where George Bush was buried, where Isabella Bush was buried. And he asked me to bring visibility to Pioneer Cemetery. Our legacy is there. Our ancestors are there. So after that, I was determined to do something to recognize the final resting place of George Bush and other pioneers who were buried there. As a transplant to Tumwater, we have an amazing and inspiring history, which should be told to a wider audience. Tumwater was built, when I look at that mural back there, Tumwater was built on freedom, hard work, determination, and friendship. In these turbulent times, it's time to share our story on how Tumwater and then Washington State was created. Why now? As a board member for Experience Olympia and Beyond, one of my committees, I know that tourism is important as it relates to generating revenue. People from outside our region are seeking different and unique places to visit. Why not Tumwater? However, they need a reason to stay, to spend money in our restaurants, stay a few nights in our hotels, and come back to visit, along with recommending our city to their friends and loved ones. For my visit to Texas this summer, and you all probably know because I got a nice cowboy hat, big brown cowboy hat. Right? So when I was there, I participated in a history tour, driving and walking, and I questioned, how can this work in Tumwater? So this is how my proposal came to be, called Tumwater Olympia Historic Heritage Tour. And it's Tumwater Olympia, not Olympia Tumwater, because Tumwater came first. They settled here first. That wagon train with Michael T. Simmons settled here in Tumwater first. And George Bush welcomed the first governor of Washington here in Tumwater. That's something to be proud of. That's a story that needs to be told. So what are the impacts? First of all, we're going to generate revenue because they and spend here. Homeowners are tapped out when it comes to raising taxes. But remember, taxes are how we pay for city services. And Tumwater are fastest growing cities in Washington State. People aren't going to stop moving here. We can't stop them. So we have to think of other ways to generate income. Tourism is one of those ways. Another benefit is education and physical fitness. I envision biking tours and walking tours that will take school children, families from JBLM, tourists near and far. From the Bush Farm to Pioneer Cemetery to Isabella Bush Park to Brewery Falls Park to Schmidt House, downhill to Historic Park, the Viewmaster's House. They might veer off to see Dave McKendry's. He's always talking about his parallel pillar, so we're going to put that on the map too. Then they're going to be off to Olympia to see the Bush placard and the tree on the Capitol grounds. I've met with former Mayor Pete, our current mayor. I've met with employees from Experience Olympia and Beyond. I've met with Chuck Denny, our new EDC, Gene, and even our famous Dave McKendry, former and current city administrators. The way ahead is funding. For us to make this happen, this will be a positive thing for Tumwater. And the good, I sent my proposal to Experience Olympia and Beyond, and it was accepted. If you look on their website, there's a link on their website. You scroll through, It talks about the trailblazer, who he was. Visitors to Tumwater today talk about the journey to the Pacific Northwest in 1844. We talked about founding Tumwater in the Bush Prairie in 1845, a farm that fed territory, hosting governor. There's a map of points 1 to points 5 with a website that you can click, Union Pioneer Calvary Cemetery, that our mayor talked about. You can click on details, Brewery Park at Tumwater Falls, Schmidt House, State Capitol. So with that said, I just wanted it on record that this will happen in Tumwater. Thank you, Mayor.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Agabi. That's a hard one to follow.
I don't know where to start from. Wow. Well, so simply, I don't have any meeting. Starting from tomorrow, I have a transportation board meeting, and then on the 14th, we have a public and more, but public and safety committee meeting, and now addressing Council Member Kelly Van Hall's concern about what has happened in Tumwater. So this month, October, I have been told, no promise, that city manager Liz Park was going to bring to full council the resolution of our Diversity and Equity Commission that she's working on with Kelly. So hopefully before 1st of November, we will have that in chamber for us to talk about and take a vote. So I see that has been a positive thing that maybe will go away to assuage what is happening in our community. That's all I got to say.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Doha.
Thank you, Mayor. There are some new directors in our community. One is Safe Place, Karen Wright. I had the privilege to meet with her, and she's interested in connecting with us. Look in your emails. She'll be reaching out. And then I also connected with our new Olympia Tumwater Foundation Director, Todd Cutts, who's also interested and is talking about maybe coming to council, presenting, saying hi, right? So I think he's going to be working with staff to see what that would look like, but also would like to engage with council members. Thank you, Mayor, for reminding me. We did the EDC Real Estate Forum. And with that, I had a follow-up with Administrator Parks about, we had talked about aligning with what my fellow council members have talked about, Project for Civic Health that our Lieutenant Governor Denny Heck is leading, spearheading, and there's 3 things that I would like Tumwater to sign on to with this Project for Civic Health, and talking to Administrator Parks about that. 1 is engaging with respect, 2 is seeking common ground, 3 is disagreeing constructively, right? And so cities can sign on to Project for Civic Health. So Lisa Parks was interested in learning more about that. And so I'd like that to be a prospective proposal to align with all the work that we're doing, the resolutions, and just how we're also working with LOT on the RFP process for a lobbyist. So that's exciting. And then Thurston County Open, there's some screenings that are becoming this fall and winter. So I'll share that when that happens. And Opioid Abatement Council, updated ILA, and the request for proposal template is coming our way to all the jurisdictions. So all the money that we have been collecting, we're hoping to start distributing that January 1. So that's exciting. Karen, that's exciting. It's exciting. Okay. City Attorney Kirkpatrick, it is coming. It's coming.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Althauser.
Thank you, Mayor. I had one meeting since our last council meeting. The Regional Housing Council met at the end of September. Our agenda was sort of brief, but it actually took a long time to get through because we were finishing some of our work on our mission, vision, and goals for the RHC, including potential expansion of our scope to try to tackle recommendations on some things related to policy issues. That last little nugget we will have to revisit again as a group at our next RHC meeting, but we did conclude our mission, vision, and values, and then sent that back to staff to sort of workshop some of the wording, and then we'll be voting on it at our next meeting.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Swarthout.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. So on September 29th, was chairing the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, and thank you to Assistant City Administrator Kelly Adams for we have a new application, and I think it's probably one of the best processes we went through this time. I think the guys were pretty invigorated this time, so it's usually kind of a quiet thing, but we had a really good, not your good day, but we had a good day, and so we gave away some money, and we had some interesting new it'll be on the consent, so you'll have a chance to see that in October 21st. And then September 30th, I got talked into, I didn't not drive my car, so my penance was doing the walk audit, and that was really fun. I really appreciate, Alyssa Jones is amazing. She got a number of people, and some of the people that we saw from People's First was here as well. And so we walked in the rain, and we walked along Little Rock Road, and just saw through the lens what it's like how do you navigate our sidewalks and try to get back and forth to the grocery store, and like how safe it is, and watching somebody decide to peel out from the stoplight at Costco and made it all the way to the car wash light, going about 50, yeah, it was pretty funny, And so, it's just, how it is. They wanted us to try to do the mid-crossing there between what used to be Albertson Safeway to Fred Meyer, and all I could see was like baby ducks getting killed because it was raining and it was dark, and we had people that had limited abilities to get across the street, and all you have are those red flags. And so, so we ended up not taking that route and then going across at an approved sidewalk. So anyway, it was very good. And so I really appreciated the talk to constituents and shared their real stories, because they really do walk back and forth. And then also share with our problems solved with our staff that was there too. It was a really good event. I'm making light of it, but I really got a lot out of it. It was really a lot of fun. Did TRPC on October 3rd. Did the Talking Tombstones on Sunday. They did have 100 people. It was the first time I'd ever been to the Pioneer Cemetery, I have to say, and it was really amazing. And then my last thing I want to put in a plug is fun breakfast on Wednesday, October 15th. I've sent invitations to all the staff and all the Tumwater staff, and I know it's early, but we have coffee, and we have a yummy breakfast, and we have coffee, and so just wanted to invite everyone. It really is a wonderful event, and it's an important thing we do, and when I talked to once before about this, and I'm sorry I shouldn't be doing this plug, but housing is really an important piece of what we do. And numbers person, I realize that just small amounts, like the amounts that we've been giving out, like $250 to $600 have been the average amounts that we do buildings that, and it seems, that's $250 will help keep a family in their house, one request. And so it's just chunks of change like that really does make an impact. And so I really encourage people to, if you're not able to attend, to look us up on the